What is up, NFC West football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC West Roundtable powered by BetUS. Week 10 is in the books, and we had 3 games within the division. Seattle Seahawks were on a bye, 2 big W's for the 2 teams at the top of the division, 1 major loss for a team fighting to be towards the top of the division on Monday Night Football. We will break it all down for you tonight on the NFC West Roundtable Week 10 recap episode. Without further ado, let's bring in the boys, Mike, Brandon, and Jesse. And before you say, is Jake really bailing after losing to the Dolphins? No, he will be here shortly. Don't worry. We have plenty to talk about tonight with Jake. I love the shades, fellas. Brandon, I know you didn't even have a chance to wear your shades this week, so at least it doesn't have to go from the bag over the head to the shades. You can just be normal Brandon tonight. That's good. Before we dive all the way into it, let's go take a look at the updated odds, because we know the Rams were creeping up on BetUS. Their odds to win the division went from plus 1,600 to, oh my God, they're looking like they could get towards the top. Changed a lot after last night. Right now on BetUS, you have the Niners this is getting incredibly tight at the top. What a race we have going on here. The Niners, plus 110 to win it, currently the favorite. The Cardinals, right behind them at plus 130. The Rams have fallen all the way back to plus 750. Seattle down to plus 1,300. Their work is cut out for them after the bye week. So we'll get into what we saw this past weekend, and we'll start with the biggest beatdown of the weekend. Mike, I told you it was going to happen. It was just a matter of going out and executing, and your Cardinals, that's exactly what they did. 31-6. Just when everyone wanted to say, oh, maybe the slim chance the Jets are back is finally real live after beating the Texans, the Cardinals shut that down real quick. It was a beatdown in Arizona. They shut down Aaron Rodgers. They shut down Breece Hall. And what do you know? Kyler Murray has entered the MVP conversation. 22 of 24 for 286. They didn't even have to go off on offense to score 31 and shut down the Jets the way they did. Just a tremendous performance. You got to be stoked after this one, Mike. Not only do you dominate the Jets, you're on top of the division, and things are looking real good right now in Arizona.
I forgot to mention 4 in a row there. 4 in a row. I can't even see anymore. I'm just shaded all the time. And all these wins are clouding the judgment here. And no, yeah, things are good, man. Things are good right now here in the valley / in the desert. Things are wonderful. This game right here, and like, hopefully we get a little chance here to talk about Jake here, but before he even he shows up. But one thing I want to say is that this Arizona Cardinal team they're starting to hit a stride. I know I said this before after the beatdown here versus Jake's Rams when we absolutely obliterated them. I said we're back, but now I actually feel like we're back. We came into State Farm Stadium, our own home, and they had an opportunity. The Jets came in here, they had a really good win versus the Houston Texans, but we didn't allow anything to happen. Anything, nothing. The foot was on their necks the entire freaking game. We didn't allow a touchdown. We didn't allow, Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams to get going. They got a really good tandem with Breece Hall as well as Braylon Allen, but no, nobody was ever effective as all. The Arizona Cardinals ran the show from the start of the game to the end of the game, and it all started with James Conner running the rock, and obviously the run game wasn't a big factor point in this game, but Kyler Murray, 17 straight completions. He broke himself a record. It's amazing. It's a good time right now. There's no negative to talk about this game. There really isn't. And I'm really curious to figure out, obviously, what everybody's thoughts are about the Arizona Cardinals, because I remember Jesse saying that that the hot take was that the Rams were going to win the division, but why not us? Why not us? Why not the Arizona Cardinals? Because if you do look at the path, it is easy from here on out. Maybe not easy, but there is a clear path to win the West and potentially make a playoff run. So I'm really excited about it. Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself. Honestly, I think there's a lot of yuckiness, a lot of issues that are going within that Jets defense. Offense more than anything. Aaron Rodgers, man, it ain't it. It ain't it. And I know you enjoy the downfall, Z-Bot, as we did as well. I just hope that we can stack up wins. We are going into our bye week. Hopefully we get a little healthier. We got a couple people coming back with Jonah Williams, as well as hopefully Darius Robinson. We finally see his debut. But overall, good performance from the start to the finish. There was no doubt in my mind from the end of the first quarter that the Cardinals were ever going to lose this game. It was pure dominance from the top to the bottom.
Forgot to mention earlier that these Cardinals, I did mention that they are the favorite on BetUS. You can get in on that with the promo code that I forgot to let you guys know about. It's YouTube 150. That'll get you 150% sign up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. They're plus 110. The Niners right behind them at plus 135. Now, you had mentioned what I think the biggest takeaway of all of this is. They have gone through their gauntlet. We've talked about it on the show before, how tough of a start the Cardinals had. How confident are you now? Not only are you getting the best version of Kyler Murray, you got one of your best performances collectively of the year on Sunday, but now you're heading into that stretch. How high is the confidence right now for these Cardinals' ability to flat out win this division outright, take it into the playoffs?
It's very high. It's very high. I mean, obviously it starts with the next game mentality. Now the fans are feeling themselves, right? We're pretty excited, but I do have the confidence in this Arizona Cardinal locker room to not get too high, not get too low. Now I'm not going to come out here and say we're going to go undefeated in the last 7 games of the season. We're going to lose some games, but I do feel like there is a clear path to win this West, and it all comes through Arizona. It's our division to lose at this very moment. And yeah, we got the Seahawks. And then we got the Vikings, and you got the Seahawks again. Then we got the Panthers and the Patriots. That actually might be opposite. And I think we finished the season off with 2 division games, which will probably be crucial, just really depending if the 49ers can get it going, and then the Rams can finally wake up and get it going. But honestly, I think that this is going to be the Arizona Cardinals division to take because of how the second half of their schedule just lays out for them. Like I said, I don't want to look too deep into it, especially with the Patriots and the Panthers on your schedule, but it's lining up for the Cardinals to make a run.
Jesse, right now, before we get into your Niners, as the team that's in second place currently to these Cardinals, based on what you saw Sunday, based on what you've seen them build throughout the year here, how threatened are you by the presence of Arizona right now if you're a Niners fan?
The Cardinals are in the driver's seat. They are. I mean, whatever is going to happen in this division comes down to how well they either do or don't play down the stretch. That's really what it's going to come down to. I've looked at this thing backwards, forwards, up, down. Essentially, here's a situation. If the Cardinals can only lose 2 games down the stretch, they're basically going to win this division. Like, that's going to happen. It doesn't matter what 2 they lose. Now, I think a realistic scenario is week 18. If the 49ers can win that, the Cardinals and 49ers will end up with the same record. And here's what it will come down to. Did the 49ers go undefeated in the West the rest of the way? Did they beat the Seahawks? Did they beat the Rams? And obviously they beat the Cardinals in this scenario. And what did the Cardinals do in the NFC West? Because if they themselves lost one of those games in the NFC West, then the 49ers are going to own all the tiebreakers and they will win this division if they end up with the same record. However, if the 49ers lose one of those division games, they end up with the same record, the Cardinals are going to win the division. They'll own the tiebreakers most likely, unless they lose two games against the Rams and Seahawks, which I don't see happening. So really, I mean, the Cardinals, they own this. However this division goes, it's first up to them. The 49ers can win out, and it wouldn't be enough if the Cardinals win out as well. That's really what it comes down to. So the Cardinals have a chance to make the playoffs here. It's up to them and how they're going to play. The one game that I'm most curious about is the Vikings game. If the Cardinals beat the Vikings, it's going to be hard to say that they're not going to win the division. That's like the one game, the standout game besides the 49ers themselves and obviously the division games. If they can beat the Vikings, man, and they can win 3 out of the 4 in the division, it's over, man. It's absolutely over. So listen, I don't have any beef against the Cardinals. They haven't been good enough for me to hate. Just being honest with you. And they're not like a team that I don't think their fans are arrogant. I'm low-key happy for them, man. They're having a really good season. I think this is a lot of fun. I root for fan bases more so than anything. So I'm happy that it's the Cardinals and the 49ers at this point in the season. I think the 49ers absolutely have a real shot here to win the division. But I'm happy for the Cardinals fans, man. I think this is a magical season, a year earlier than what they expected. I said they were a year away. I was clearly wrong about that. And Kyler Murray is playing amazing football right now. Kyler Murray, I think, is playing the best football of his career. I know that they had like the 7-0 start a few years ago, and he was in the MVP conversation. No. This Kyler Murray, this efficient Kyler Murray, this mistake-free Kyler Murray, getting the timely runs, everything right now, he is locked in. This is the best Kyler Murray has looked, in my opinion. And he had a really, really good start. And I think it was 22 at that time, 21, I don't remember.
21.
Kyler Murray looks really good right now. And this team's getting healthy. They added an edge piece through trade. They've now got their rookie that's going to come back after the bye week, it sounds like. I was reading up on him, Darius Robinson. It looks like he's going to be back. So, things are starting to come together for them, man. They are absolutely for real. And I think it's going to be a really fun end of the season. I do.
Yeah, speaking of that end of the season, you mentioned it. It's your Niners versus the Cardinals week 18. There's a very likely scenario where that game
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, exactly right. Last game of the year to decide the West. How crazy would that be? How crazy will this roundtable be come week 18 if it winds up coming down to that?
Go ahead, Jesse, you're saying it will be, you said it'll get flexed, you think, to Sunday night?
Definitely.
If the division is on the line, it's getting flexed. That'll be the last game of the regular season. Yep.
Oh, give me another primetime game. Okay, I'm too excited. Okay, let's go.
Brandon, you had the weekend off here. You got to sit back and kind of observe the division. What was your takeaway from the Cardinals in terms of their ability to be able to close this thing out over the last 7 weeks here?
Well, like Mike said, they can get on top, even stay on top of you, and they don't ease off the gas. I thought it was interesting watching the game where you see them up 28-6 at one point in this game, and they're still running full house blitzes, whereas you might think, okay, let's just stay back and cover two and kind of ease stuff off for them and let them earn their way up the field. It was an impressive win, though. I don't care where the Jets are at. That's still a very good defense, and overall and how it's played for most of the year, it's had its ups and downs, and you were still able to run on downhill all day on them. You were able to control the line of scrimmage. I think that Kyler is going through a little bit of what I always wanted to see with Russell here in Seattle, that they're embracing there in Arizona. You have this star quarterback, and the tendency is to start to drift him towards high volume. Let's get the most out of the money. Let's have him throw 40, 45 times a game. But I think you can make more of the argument that these type of quarterbacks are at their best more about 25 to 32 attempts a game and then using their mobility around that with a solid running game. And I think that as we come back to the Cardinals, they know their identity. They know who they are. They're not confused about it. As every week, they don't beat themselves. You don't see a ton of bad penalties. They play hard. Again, just as far as what Jesse said, it's hard to kind of get mad at them in the way they play because there's so many teams like my own team here. We just released a player this last week and we've had to let a couple go where we're going, we're not getting that hard play. We're not getting that same kind of intensity level. And with the Cardinals, it shows up every single week. As far as looking long-term with this team for this season, you run the ball, you play hard on defense, you've got an efficient passer who can use his legs. That style of brand of ball will play when we get into late midwinter. But that's also going to be, Jesse's team has that same thing going for it. So it'll make it a great battle if it does come down to that.
I want to check this in the chat real quick.
Sure.
Just real quick, because it's just simply not true. Somebody said, I can't even. Oh, Tommy, come on, Tommy.
Oh, stop. Is it about the Cardinals?
You're coming from my channel, man. Don't do that. You're more educated than this, man. Don't do that. He said the Cardinals have played nobody. That is absolutely factually incorrect, man. They have had the toughest schedule to start this season, and they went through that gauntlet. Number one in the NFC West, man. They deserve their credit right now. They do. But this is a long season. There's enough left here, enough runway for the 49ers to run them down. I wouldn't be too confident that you're for sure going to walk away with it. But at this point in the season, to even be in the conversation, I know you got to be geeked, and you should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to say they've played no one is crazy. Bills, Rams, Lions, Commanders, Niners. That was back to back right there to start the season off. Packers as well. The Chargers, who are a playoff team right now in the AFC. Man, no, I don't know if anybody's had a tougher start than Arizona. They have earned every bit of where they're at right now, and that's why Cardinals fans are so fired up in the chat. Jaden coming in. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Rise up and let the Red Sea flow. Ivan's coming in. Rise up, Red Sea. We believe. Cardinals fans are fired up right now, Mike, and for good reason. How could you not be right now? The way that they have started, the way that they've continued to build on that compared to what it was just a season ago. So it's incredible what the Cardinals are putting together. The question is, will they be able to hang on to it? And we know that Jesse's Niners they're going to have something to say about that. The Niners got it done this past weekend despite a litany of special teams issues, including enough to result in a little bit of a sideline scuffle there between the special teams unit and Deebo Samuel. But hey, a win is a win, and the Bucs are not an easy out. We just saw that Bucs team take the undefeated Chiefs to overtime last week on Monday Night Football. This game finishes within 3 points itself as well. 23-20. They were able to overcome those special teams blunders at the end and knock in the game-winning field goal. Niners improved to 5-4, and they're right there. And this is why this is kind of a two-legged race right now between Mike and Jesse. We'll see what Brandon and what Jake have to say about it as the weeks go on here. But right now, this is where it's at. Jesse, you get the W. It wasn't the prettiest of W's, but who cares at this point in the season? All you want to do is stack them. Your thoughts overall on the game and your biggest takeaway from what you saw from your Niners against the Bucs.
Yeah, first I want to shout out Deommodore Lenoir, our do-it-all corner.
Yep.
Just signed an extension today, 5-year, $92 million. Extremely happy for him. I'm an Oregon Duck fan as well, and he played for Oregon in college. He's been absolutely incredible. So shout out to Demo for getting that 5-year extension, much deserved. And for once, the 49ers go and sign somebody early so they don't have to deal with it next offseason. Very, very happy to have him here long-term as a building block. But as far as the game goes, man, I was at the game, and it was intense. Let me tell you, those missed field goals weighed heavy in that stadium. At one point, Bucs fans definitely thought that they had it. And I don't understand what they were doing down the stretch there. You know, they had a chance to go up by a touchdown and most likely win that game, and to run the ball twice and then, you know, throw a ball short of the end zone didn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know what the Bucs were thinking on that drive, but ultimately it's gifted the 49ers what they needed to go get it done. Jake Moody came in the clutch. Thank God he made that last one, because I don't know what would have happened if he didn't and they had gone to overtime. But yes, the 49ers got a much needed win, but the 49ers still, we talk about schedules and fraudulent and not beating anybody. The 49ers don't have a quality win on their schedule, in my opinion. They, out of all the teams that right now have a winning record that they have played, they are 0-3. And the 49ers have 4 such teams to round out the end of the year. They have your Buffalo Bills, Z-Bot. They've got the Packers. They've got the Lions. And they've got the Cardinals. That is going to have to turn around. They're going to have to start winning these games against good teams. And unfortunately, the 49ers don't have their next chance for another 2 weeks to prove that they can beat a good team. Beating Seattle is something that we should expect as 49er fans. Beating Tampa and beating Dallas is something we should expect as 49er fans. If they were to lose any of those games, including the one this Sunday, you can basically stick a fork in us as far as winning the division. It's a wrap. But the 49ers will have their chance against Green Bay and then follow that up against the Buffalo Bills to finally right that ship. They need to win against a quality opponent, a playoff opponent, before I'm fully bought in that the 49ers, this version of the 49ers, can make the run that they need to make, win the division, and possibly sneak their way back into a Super Bowl, at least into the playoffs. And then anything can happen once you're there, especially when you are a team that is as seasoned as this 49ers team is. But that needs to happen first before I'm fully back in. Happy about the win. Nothing really bad to say about it other than the scuffle, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. They won. They took care of business. You got to do it again next week, and then we'll see when you face teams like Green Bay and Buffalo. You have to win those games as well.
CMC with his return, rough day on the ground. It was a rough day in general on the ground for the Niners, although they didn't really go to it all that much. But in classic Christian McCaffrey fashion, elite through the pass game, 6 catches, 68 yards. So right over 100 yards total all purpose, which is where you're going to expect to see him the rest of the way here as usual. Your big takeaway from finally having CMC back and his overall presence, just in general, you know, having him out there, how much different did it feel watching the game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I think his presence is definitely going to be more felt in the pass game. I think that Brock Purdy, for the first time all year, took those checkdowns that were available to him. It's something he had been passing up for a majority of the season, and I think that's why you've seen a lot of inconsistent play from him. He takes a lot of he's aggressive. He's a gunslinger, and I love that about him. But you have to pick and choose your spots. CMC forces you to pick and choose your spots, and I don't think it's a surprise that we saw arguably the best stat line all season from Brock Purdy in this game, outside of the Rams game. So I think that there's a reason for that. He's comfortable with CMC, and so I think it helps there. One thing I was a little frustrated with, and I think a lot of 49er fans were frustrated with, was the fact that he was on the field a majority of that game. Jordan Mason, who had been doing a fantastic job this year, got just 1 carry for 5 yards. I think at this point, while CMC is still getting his legs back, it would be nice to see more Jordan Mason. And I think at this point, while he's getting his legs back, Jordan Mason is the better runner. And so we do need to see more of Jordan Mason, but that's not Kyle. That's not his brand. He's going to play CMC until CMC's hurt, and then he's going to move on to the next one. So I don't expect that to happen, but I think that this team would be better off if Jordan Mason was getting himself 8 to 10 carries a game as well.
Ruiz comes in. He says the Niners win was unimpressive from a 15-point Ram fan. So he wasn't all that impressed with what he saw from the Niners on Sunday. But
you guys lost to the Dolphins, so I might want to
tell him
about now.
I don't know. I got nothing else to say on that one. It's tough to.
There's a reason Jake's not here right now. I'm just throwing that out there.
It is definitely tough to be throwing stones from the loss to the Dolphins side of the fence right now. Dave's coming in again. He's saying easy to be a Cards fan. They don't have Lyle in the way. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you, similar to what I asked Jesse. Lyle, right now, he's the only one seemingly in your way, I guess, in the path towards winning this division. Your overall assessment of the Niners in terms of where they're at, being in your way, the speed bump that could derail the Cardinals' chance of winning the West?
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you think of this division or any division games, there's always some sort of speed bump. These teams know each other like the back of their hands. Like, you never know, right? Nothing's an easy win when it comes down to this division. Even Seahawks, Rams, it doesn't matter. It's always going to be a tough, hard matchup. But seeing that game versus the Bucs, I feel like the Bucs had an opportunity. I mean, you got to give a shout out here to Baker Mayfield. That last drive, what he did was magnificent. Stiff arm Bosa. It was just like magic. It was like, oh my God, this was written in the stars for them to win this game. And I was pumped up. I was hyped up for this Bucs team. But I don't know. I feel like they played very, very conservatively when they were in the red zone. It was like 2 run plays and they knew that they were going to do it. And I don't know. It almost kind of felt like they were playing for the tie more than winning the game. Now I get it. And they don't have, Mike Evans. They don't got Chris Godwin. So they're missing a lot of pieces out there. And that's definitely something to note. But I mean, I don't know. Like you gotta give kudos to where kudos is due. You guys won at the end of the day. But I don't know if there's any concern with Jake Moody because of obviously the multiple misses. And I think what Lyle Shanahan said that, it was a windy day, or what was his excuse, that the wind was
no excuse. There was worry from me about Jake Moody the moment they drafted him in the 3rd round, but yes.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I feel like there should be some panic when it comes down to relying on your kicker that missed 3 kicks in a game that could have made this game not so close in that last drive, but that's football, right? You got to be able to win those 1-point games, those 3-point games, those 7-point games. That's what football is on Sundays, Thursdays, and Mondays. So I don't know. I would have loved to obviously seen the Bucs win the game, but at the end of the day, let's go 49ers and Cardinals. I feel like it's a 2-horse race from here on out. I'm excited.
By the way, Mike, level 7's thinking your Cards are going to win out. He doesn't care what you think. You're sweeping the slate. According to level 7, Ruiz is saying that that stones can be cast, Jesse, because your Niners lost to a Puka and Cupless Rams team.
Listen, that's great. I love that for you. And I was on board. I thought the Rams were going to win the division. I said it when they were a 2-win team, but losing to the Dolphins, man, I don't know how you can believe in that team. That's a crazy loss, losing to the Dolphins at home, especially when the Dolphins offense didn't even do anything. They put up 20 points. You couldn't even get in the end zone against the Dolphins. I'm sorry, man. I'm out on the Rams.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to you real quick, Brandon, because we are seeing right now that Braden is saying that we're not accounting for the fact that the Hawks are going to take the broom to the Cardinals and pull the sweep. So let's talk about the Niners. I know you got the sweep coming from Braden's point of view on the Cardinals, but your thoughts right now on the Niners, similar to what I asked you earlier, just your overall assessment moving forward here, how you view them kind of finishing this season out and where they'll be towards the end in terms of this division and how it goes down.
I still feel like in a lot of the games, I watched every game of them this year, of course, but I thought early on it's a little bit of a cruise control thing where they just sometimes it's like a cat that's got a mouse and it's been battering the hell out of the mouse. The mouse is just kind of laying there and the cat's like, I got this. And sort of gets distracted, looks away, and the mouse runs away. It's like, oh, the mouse, I got to go get back and grab it. And this game, you got by 10 points. You really had the game in your hand, just a couple missed kicks. And it's been like this in some of the games this year, where just if you're watching it from a feel of it, it just feels like, yeah, well, we kind of have control. They have control of this game. It's not the other team is in it technically, but they're just kind of, and Baker and company. So with the Niners, I always feel like they haven't quite locked into their best selves yet this year. And McCaffrey coming back, Dream Greenlaw is out there running around now. He's on the precipice of coming back. And I do think he's, even if in a little bit of a diminished state, better than what you get from Campbell out there at the other linebacker position. And so they have a lot of reason to believe they're going to get strong. Of course, your Cardinals are going to too, Mike, with some of the guys you have coming back in the ranks, including Robinson. I really like that guy. I think he's going to be impressive. But I do get a little bit worried about the special teams because every single effing week with the Niners, there's something going on. Back to the Super Bowl last year, the Super Bowl game. I mean, and it's not just the missed kicks. It's also the muffed punt where the guy gets thrown into the guy and it's a fumble there. And they just these mistakes that they have that just boneheaded kind of plays where you let the team kind of stay in the game. And I do wonder a little bit with the Niners, they go through this. I think they're going to still be good. I think they're still going to get the playoffs, but both the special teams and this sort of tendency to sort of take your foot off the gas at times in games, it feels like a little bit, if it eventually doesn't come back and haunt you a little bit. Still very talented. I think all the upsides there and still their best selves. We haven't seen their best selves. And that's the scary thought of it is they get to that place. That's where they can turn back into kind of juggernaut we've seen over the past couple of years. But those are the parts that give me a little concerned with it. They're still very strong. And I mean, that last drive, Baker was playing good, but what was there? 3 penalties as well on the Niners on that one with hands to the face. And you're just kind of also helping them up the field there. And it's just, again, it's a bit of what I've seen in a bigger play here from the Niners throughout this year, where there's just kind of, you're kind of letting them stuff happen when you shouldn't, and you haven't through most of the game. And you guys, you're finding your way around. So you're still to put your top right around the top of the division, but that'd be my biggest kind of worry with you guys going forward.
Special teams, they're ranked 31st, and we've seen special teams derail good teams in the past. I mean, the Chargers are a great example of this. They once had a team that was ranked number 1 in offense, number 1 in defense, and missed the playoffs at 9-7 because they had the worst special teams in the league. It can ruin seasons. It can. So we'll see if they can get it figured out. But right now, it's not getting any better. We just found out our punter is still having back issues, so we don't know what's going on with him. He's going to seek new treatment. So now he might be out. Moody clearly came back maybe a week too early, but now his confidence is shaken. And I feel like we've had the wrong punt returner back there the whole season. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but the special teams is certainly a cause for concern for sure.
Maybe the special team is the reason why Dave wanted you to take off your shades.
They're already off.
You didn't deserve to wear them. Dave, I think you guys could have won by 40. I think Dave still would want you to take off your shades. Dave's a tough man to please, but I like that because Dave's expecting the best from his Niners. He's expecting the worst, by the way, from Rodgers based on what you guys did to him, Mike. He's saying Rodgers wants to leave a winner, maybe just leave. I say stick around. I'm loving what Rodgers is doing with these Jets. I say keep him around as long as you want.
You know what's wild to watch him do is he does his biggest pout move, Rodgers does. He did this with the Packers, where he will just throw a ball. If a guy doesn't run the right route, he'll just throw the ball to where the guy was supposed to run the route rather than even making an attempt to throw it on the guy or understand, okay, and you watch him just dirt 5-6 throws over a game where he just throws it out and the receiver's not even got his head turned around and he's just tossing it. And you get away with it when he's playing an MVP, but when he's doesn't have the legs he once did, and then you're getting kind of the inconsistency on top of it. You go, boy, Aaron, I know you're frustrated, but
there's a lot of toxicity in that locker room.
Those are toxic throws. Those are toxic throws when he throws those because they're just like, it's like if he could it's almost like a slap upside the offensive player, run the route.
Yeah, it's wild. The culture there is not it. So yeah,
Keon's coming in. He's saying, Rams Super Bowl bound. No way. Thought that last week. Barely beat the Hawks even with the game gifted to him. No way is that offense suddenly fixed. And with that said, we transition to bringing in my main man, Jake, who's got to come in and maybe talk Keon back into the Rams winning the Super Bowl, maybe confirm his thoughts. Either way, Jake, last night, I told Mike he got the job done. I said, all you got to do is go out on that field. You'll beat the Jets. I thought the same for your Rams against these Dolphins. That was not the case. Could not get in the end zone. The fish were not squished, Jake. And last night, these Rams, they would have been right there. A huge win was on the table for them. It felt like at times they had it for the taking. They just could not take it. So welcome into the show. Unfortunately, I have to welcome you in right as we transition from the other two games to your Rams game. So it's perfect timing. Unfortunately, the loss didn't come at great timing for your Rams. Talk to me about what you saw last night and how uncharacteristic that was of Matt Stafford and that offense.
Well, you deserve an award for how perfectly segued that was, Z-Bot. And I was listening to you guys on my way driving back home because I've been inconvenienced all. I hate today. November 12th, 2024. Screw it. Anyway. So look, I did a lot of research this morning because I can't just sit here and say, fire Sean McVay. And, oh, my God, this Rams offense is trash and everything's trash. And but you guys know I'm typically.
But fire Sean McVay.
No. I'm typically pretty open to okay, but let's see what actually went wrong. Yeah, I know. But okay, let's look at the positives. I was very pissed. I was pissed because the way I see it is you have this defense that is young and was told and counted out numerous times, oh, rookie defensive coordinator. Rams fans want him fired after 4 weeks, okay, which was ridiculous. Then it's ridiculous now. The most ridiculous thing is that the media, that never gets talked about, by the way, they were like, this team's done because Aaron Donald retired. Okay, so you just told me that you don't actually watch Rams football, at all. Jared Verse is going to be one of the best pass rushers in the league for the next decade. I'm glad everybody's seeing that. This defense is why I was so pissed off last night. It's not that they lost. Remember, guys, I told you. I said the Rams would win, but I said this is not a blowout. I don't know why every Rams fan, and I'm sorry to throw shade, but I hear it all the time. Oh, Jake, it's a trap game this week. No, I'm sorry, Lou. And that's a made-up name. I'm just, saying it. I'm sorry to tell you that the Rams playing the Seahawks was not a trap game. Not at all. They weren't overlooking Seattle. They hadn't won a game on the road. So, no, they were not overlooking Seattle. If anything was a trap game, it was the 2-6 Miami Dolphins coming in on the road. The last two games with Tua back, they were in. They could have won both. But they played good teams, and the good teams finished. The Rams had every opportunity to win this game, but I am not going to sit here and take away credit from Anthony Weaver and that Dolphins defense. They had a game plan that stifled Sean McVay. He was out-coached entirely. Now, this is where, kind of the bright side comes in for any Rams fans that are trying not to give up. This is what I would say. Surprisingly, and we've been talking about this, it's been a talking point. Jesse, you and I have texted about it. Surprisingly, the reinforcements hurt them. But I don't understand how. All I'm going to say is this. Jonah Jackson might end up being a good player. But right now, I don't think Jonah Jackson's very good. As a matter of fact, I don't think the Rams are very good, by the way. Yeah, I don't.
You gave, by the way, Jake, the biggest crime here is you gave TD hope, which is the last thing.
Yeah, well, I wanted to be fair. I felt like, and I said this, I had multiple emails from Rams fans, because I get emails, DMs, all that. And they're like, how much we winning by? I'm like, this is the toughest game they've played since I would say the 49er game. I'm not kidding you. And I said this because people were shitting on Tua on here. And I was like, nope, Tua's not a bad quarterback. Now, he did not play well enough to win that football game. We can all agree on that. But then again, Jared Goff didn't play well enough to win his football game. He threw 5 picks and, the Lions are the team of destiny. Regardless, the thing I'm going to say here is that with the Rams, you look at the offensive line. They did not give up a sack the last 2 weeks with 2 rookies at left guard and center. Then I watched Joseph Nopum play right tackle, who's been in the league since, I don't know, Avengers Endgame came out. And I don't think he's gotten any better since 2018. I watched him at right tackle, and he looked like he was a right-handed thrower throwing left-handed. And you know what? I've heard that analogy before with tackles. So maybe that's the case. Jonah Jackson is not a center. He's just not. So maybe that's on the Rams too. But guys, that's just the bright side of this. Like if we're going with that, which I do believe that rust and that lack of cohesion was obvious. And Brandon, I know I can already tell that you know what I'm talking about right now. However, I don't want to give them a pass. I don't. Because this team, and I might surprise you if you guys haven't checked out any of my videos on this or saw my Twitter, then you'll be shocked. I think in the Matthew Stafford era since 2021, the Rams have been an underwhelming offense. I think they have their moments where they look like the best offense in football. And I think they have their moments where they look like the worst offense in football. And is that on Stafford? No. I think it's on McVay. I really do. Tutu Atwell diversifies your whole wide receiver room because he gives you that deep threat. He gives you that speed, that explosion. No, you're throwing go balls to Demarcus Robinson. And I know he caught that one against you, Brandon. I get that. But that guy ran a 4.6. Okay.
Puka too. They're throwing it to Puka too.
They're throwing it to Puka. And you notice Puka created zero separation from Jalen Ramsey. So Tutu Atwell, who by the way is the best at drawing penalties deep down the field, defense, pass interference, all that, isn't being utilized. They've completely gotten rid of the jet sweeps and, all the end arounds and all that. Completely got rid of that. They abandoned the run. Shocker. Close games, one possession games, they stop running the football. They panic like Aaron Boone. What's the other thing? That's right. This team has 17 offensive touchdowns this year. They had 17 through 9 games last year. They had 16 with all those injuries, with like 16 different offensive linemen. They had 16 offensive touchdowns at this point in the season in 2022. Only one time in this Stafford era, really, it was all of 2021. And he had, there were a little bit of issues there. They had 30 offensive touchdowns going into like right now. So what I'm saying here is I'm grateful for Matthew Stafford. I'm grateful for the Super Bowl and everything. But if they didn't win a Super Bowl, do you realize that for the most part, this has been a very disappointing offense? And it's been disappointing because, yeah, you could say your offensive line, oh yeah, you're healthy. That's great. But like, I watched Baker Mayfield like stay in that game against the 49ers. And his leading receivers are 2 running backs. You have Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson. You got Kyron Williams and Matthew Stafford. And you're telling me you can only put 15 points on the board at home with an extra day to prepare. And albeit I've been high on the Dolphins' return, I do think they're going to be that 3-6 Rams team this year. I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I do.
What?
I do. I really do. That defense.
Out of his chair.
I'm not kidding you. And the reason I think that is because I think the AFC is terrible. I think it's very top heavy. It's the Bills, it's the Chiefs, it's the Ravens, and the Steelers. But regardless of how I feel about that, they were a 2-6 team coming into this game, guys. And we all saw it. They had every opportunity to win. The defense was giving you offensive possessions. And you know what you did? You fumbled the ball. You're kicking field goals. The center that everyone was pissed off that didn't start, and don't get me wrong, Bo Limmer has been very good. Probably should have started, right? The center jumps false start on the 52-yard field goal, nullified. Now they're kicking 57-yard field goal, and Cardi misses that. He had all their points. So I understand, like, I get it. Like, okay, yeah, they were rusty and everything and, discombobulated, whatever. But I'm not going to take away credit from Anthony Weaver. I thought he did a great job. And I am going to start pushing a little bit more further because I think I should expect more out of an offense that has a healthy Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and all those guys. I don't think I'm wrong to think that. And watch what the defense is doing. It's like, it feels like 2020 all over again, where like the defense was playing really well down the stretch. They're not the number 1 defense in the league, but they're playing really well down the stretch. And the offense with Jared Goff, just it wasn't there. And that's what it feels like right now. And it's really frustrating to watch. And with that said, I do think the Rams still have a shot to make the playoffs, but you just made it tougher. The reason why last night was so demoralizing, and Troy Aikman put this perfectly, you don't get to lose these games when you start 1-4. You don't. You don't get to lose these games when you lose to the garbage Chicago Bears. You don't. You don't get to lose these games when your defense has given you 6 of the 9 games. They've given you a final stop and your offense has just completely shit the bed. You don't get to lose this type of game. So they'll beat the Patriots this weekend. I have no doubt they'll turn it around. Then the Eagles, they never beat the Eagles. So I'll be at the game. I hope they beat the Eagles. I could see them beating the Eagles, but the Eagles are just like the Dolphins. The Dolphins have given the Rams problems for like, I think the last 10 times they played, they've only beaten them twice. And we've talked about that. Sometimes they're just some weird teams there's no compatibility with teams. But I missed earlier. I want to give credit. The Cardinals are for real. I was in the car listening to Jesse like, oh, come on, man. This guy's trying to say the Cardinals didn't play anybody. Like, you're absolutely right. The Cardinals have an above 600 schedule. And they've already played the majority of that schedule. Now, the toughest test is going to be against the division and the Vikings, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And I want to give credit to the 49ers for pulling that game off. And the last thing I'll say is I think Deebo Samuel's a piece of shit. All right, I'm good.
Damn.
Hey, by the way,
He is called Debo. I mean, it's in the name,
Yeah.
Cheaperton, he's calling you a quack, Jake. He's saying you're a quack for that Dolphins prediction. I will say last night was a massive win for the Dolphins. They tripled their playoff chances. It went from 3% to 10%. So those Dolphins right on the cusp of those AFC playoffs. Can't wait to see them in January when they head to Baltimore and lose by 40. We got a couple of more super chats to get to in here. Dave's coming in. He's saying if Niners fire Lyle, then there's hope. Otherwise, there's no hope. We got our first Lyle super chat of the day, and we're at the 42-minute mark. The over cashes with flying colors. I think that was the alternate over right there.
No, that's two. We got two.
Oh, that is
Did we
two,
have
huh?
two? Did we get one earlier? See, I've said Lyle so many times. You go your whole life never saying it to saying it so many times a week. I can't even keep track of it now. Keon's saying, by the way, what's going on in Seattle? He's saying if we let KW3 walk, then please don't let him go.
Where the hell did this come from?
To the Niners. Is that because you just let your leading tackler go and Tyrell Dodson out of nowhere? Or?
Maybe so. It's the rebuild still starting. We got a decision to make with Kenneth Walker after the season where we have an offensive line that is absolutely atrocious. And you guys know this as well as I do, that this is what the analytic people have said. I think it's been proven pretty true that if you're going to have a great back, you want to get the most out of him. You're not going to have him carry that offensive line that's crappy to make it go. You're going to have an offensive line that's legitimate in front of him to make it work. And while Kenneth is very talented, there's an argument to be made that if we're going to be spending money on a running back, which you don't typically want to do anyway, you don't have the line in place to get the most out of him. And it'll just be kind of wasted money. And he not able to get the most out of his talents then because of it.
By the way, TD's calling me a hater. No word of a lie. He's not fired up just because they beat your Rams, Jake. I'm on the phone with TD yesterday, and I answered the phone and I said, so what's the deal tonight? You wrap it? Did you wrap things up, or you want to get the W tonight? He goes, wrap things up. He goes, we're winning the Super Bowl, and that's you got him fueled up once again. He already had his tank all the way full last night, overflowing. TD's Dolphins going to the full tank.
When we beat them, the post game was tank for Cam Ward and tank for Shedeur Sanders. That was literally the title when the Cardinals beat them. Funny.
I honestly, I hope they keep winning so that matchup between the 49ers and Miami, like I get the best TD ever when we do that cross collaboration, and then we just stomp their dreams out from underneath them in their home stadium. I can't wait.
I just think you have to win a playoff game. You have to win a playoff game first to get that. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna win the Super Bowl. Like, I don't.
Not in
Dolphins. I think the Dolphins make the playoffs. I do, but I don't know if it's really giving the Dolphins a lot of credit, and more so just like the AFC is terrible outside of like it's top heavy. The NFC, there's going to be a 10-win team, maybe even 11-win team that misses the playoffs, if we're being honest.
The Dolphins make the playoffs. I will come on here and host this show in a Dolphins hat. That is a promise.
I love
right
this.
Here. I will wear a Dolphins hat on this show. Should they?
Kind of rooting for it now. I'm not gonna lie.
You're paying for it though. That's coming out of your account. Champy's saying, by the way, 2025 NFC Championship game, Lions Cards. Who says no? That could be good. And by the way, you said it earlier, Jake. Team of Destiny.
I'll be rooting for the Cardinals.
And I know you and Goff are like this. I know that's your boy. I know he's your favorite. 5 picks on Sunday, and he gets the W.
It's so typical, and it's funny because I heard Jesse when he was like, yeah, I root for fan bases. I was like, yeah, I have no issue with 49ers fan base or the Seahawks or the Cardinals, but the Lions, no, they can't be happy.
Speaking of those Lions, Daz is saying after the Lions, who is the next best team in the NFC? Are the Eagles for real? The Eagles are really starting to come on.
They haven't played anybody, though.
Yeah.
It's seeming like it's coming down to those two, and then you got a lot of sneakiness is how I'm starting to see this NFC right now. And
pretty open right now.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of how it feels. That's why I feel like it's going to be really exciting getting into the playoffs. The AFC, really bad at the bottom, but top heavy. The NFC, I think it could be anybody's ball game right now. And people are already ruling out your Niners, Jesse, just because of where they're at. So it's really anybody's ball game. Ruiz is saying
doing that.
Season's over for the Niners. Speaking of your Niners, so apparently they should be rolled out because the Niners season's over. It's time for a mobile quarterback.
What?
I mean, Purdy can move with the best of them. Last night.
No. I think he's saying that they lose to mobile quarterbacks.
No.
Oh, is he a Rams guy?
Yeah, he's talking. Okay, that makes sense because I was like, Brock Purdy's mobile. He's not Michael Vick, but he's mobile. No, he's saying the Rams need a mobile quarterback. I don't think the season's over. I just don't. I watched this team last year at 3-6 win 7 of their last 8. But they have to prove it to me. I'm not going to sit here and anoint them anything, But I don't think
they're going to have to beat the Eagles now because that's kind of where that's where the crisscross happens, right? Like if you had them losing down the stretch to the Eagles and beating the Dolphins, they can make it up by beating the Eagles now and be right back on track. But if they lose that game, they're done.
I agree. And the 49ers and Bills game, like those 2 games back to back, I expect they're probably going to lose those 2 games. So you pretty much have to win out and you need help. That's how I look at it. Like you're not sweeping the Niners on the year. I don't believe that. And the Bills are another one of those teams where no matter what era they're playing the Rams in, they just always have the Rams number. So
Jake, do you think playoffs is attainable or you're saying it's not going to be a losing season?
Yeah, help Freddie out here because he's saying last night's
playoffs are attainable.
The playoffs are attainable.
No, the playoffs are definitely obtainable because I also here's the thing, because history does tend to repeat itself. The Cardinals, every time they're good, and I mean no disrespect because I've been giving them a lot of credit, but every time they're good, guys, if you go back and you look the last 2 times that they were they're 8-1, whatever, this is right around the time where they start to drop off. Now, a lot of people could say that was Cliff Kingsbury. Some people make the Call of Duty thing, the joke with Kyler Murray. But if history does repeat itself, then we know the Cardinals are going to drop off like a fly. I don't think history repeats itself. I do think they're legit, but I don't think they're just going to run away with this thing. I think they're right now they're in a good spot, but understand this, they still have to play this division. And you could say what you will, they looked really good at first. And that's true. But that next game against the Rams, that next game against the 49ers, they're going to be different games. That game against the Rams, you're not winning 41-10, a second time. It's just not happening. And the majority of the time when the Rams do play the Cardinals, they've had their number. And I kind of feel like this division is just going to kind of beat the shit out of each other. I really believe that. I think it's I'm not even out on Seattle. I mean, I feel the least confident if I were to pick Seattle. I feel the least confident in them winning the division, but they could play spoiler. They could be knocking teams out left and right, if I'm being honest with you, because when I look at this, Seattle's going to be playing the Rams. They're going to be playing the Vikings. They're going to be playing the Packers, the Cardinals twice, and the 49ers. Seattle could be dangerous. If they get going, they could really kind of shake up this whole division. And what I mean by playing spoilers, the Vikings, they haven't looked great as of late. They beat the Jaguars 12-7. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen. They beat the Jaguars 12-7. The Vikings will need that win against Seattle. Seattle could be knocking teams left and right. The Packers, we don't know how the season's going to go. But I'm just saying, like, there's a reason why it's 17 games and it's not 8 or 9. So I understand, like, people are like, oh, it's over, it's over. The Rams did just win 3 in a row, and they beat the Vikings and the Seahawks in that run. Okay, let's let the season play out. Personally, I need to see it from them, but I don't think anybody in this division is over. 4-5, 4-5, 5-4, 6-4. No one's out. Like we've watched the NFL for years, guys. Don't throw any team away that has 4 wins going into week 10. It's just dumb.
Dave thought you might have less to say today, Jake, about the loss. But doesn't everybody know when you lose, that's when you have the most to say? That's when you have the most to say because you got a million things to complain about. That's how I always say.
Amen.
Yeah. It is what it is.
But by the way, Dave's also coming in and he's saying, are they obtainable, Jake? I think this is supposed to say, is it unobtainable? But he came up with a new element on the periodic table there, unobtainium, which is the newest element on the periodic table. Dave is also giving us another Lyle. He's giving us another Lyle chat. He's saying, Lyle's in full panic mode. Pack your sheets, mofos. Pack them up. Pack the sheets.
Oh, man.
The sheets. I don't know. Pack your bags.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys, I don't know. Maybe when you're like in the old days or the old cartoons, right? When they would hitchhike, they would pack everything up in a sheet, put it on a stick. Is that what he's getting at?
On the stick.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The picnic.
I think I'm reaching out. Dave, if that's what you meant, then you got to give me my props. I highly doubt that's what you meant, but that's where my mind went. He also thinks you're describing the Niners right now. I don't know when Dave said that, but maybe that's.
I think he was talking about when McVay and his personnel decision making. It was like it kind of does sound like he's describing Shanahan too.
Well, it's hilarious because I mean it's kind of like pick your poison. I mean, say what you will about Shanahan, but they're consistent offense. They've been consistent his whole time there since he actually got a quarterback. They've been consistent. Like they're one of the top teams scoring. The Rams. I mean, that's the thing. You have the Super Bowl, but. I feel like last year, and to be fair to the Rams, this is around the time last year when they started going off on a tangent. Okay. They were not even close to a good offense. And then things clicked and they just kept scoring more than 30 points. And when the Rams score at least 25 or more in the Matthew Stafford era, they're 22-2. When they score 20 or fewer, they're 5-18.
Well, Nuisance thinks you got another Super Bowl in you at least with Sean McVay. Maybe they go on that tangent again this year. Maybe they wind up winning that extra Super Bowl with Stafford.
Sean wins another
this year. Well, he had one. He would have had another if they didn't. Speaking of worst games you've ever seen. Oh, my God. The Pats game back in the day. I never forget sitting there with my Rams buddy, and we're just waiting for something to cheer about. Just something. But, hey, you made us. By the way, before anybody gets on my ass, I know you made it. You got to enjoy the game more than I'll ever have to say. That's for sure.
Yeah, but there you go. There was the origin. I was the guy that wanted Carson Wentz, and I watched Jared Goff shit the bed. Yeah, Brandon Cooks wide open, and he's like, oh, I've never seen quarters coverage before. Yeah, I don't even want to get into it.
I mean, I wanted Josh Rosen. Sorry, by the way, Mike, to bring that up. That's the Josh I wanted. So there you go. I know exactly how that goes.
TD knows Josh Rosen.
TD knows Josh as well. Believe me, TD is well versed on his Joshes in the NFL.
Round pick we got.
Dave's saying he can't wait for McDaniel to knock the Niners out. Like I said earlier, Jesse, TD already said in the chat it's a lock. The Dolphins are taking him down.
He said Pacquiao Shiv?
Yeah, he's thinking they're going to go 2 for 2. Your Niners, and then they're going to take, or your Rams are going to take down the Niners too.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I'll tell you what. Like I said, get the hat ready. They do it, then you got me bought in. But I'm saving my money until then. By the way, speaking of those Cardinals in this division, back to Constitution 1 is saying just save yourselves all the headaches. What do we even bother talking about? This is the Cardinals division. Mike, what are your thoughts on the confidence right now? You no way you would have imagined this going into week 11.
No, not at all. Especially when we start the season off, I've 1-3, right? There was a lot of panic, and it's crazy because obviously the season, how it unfolded, the 4 straight wins is enough to say, yeah. I mean, you change your tune from from panic to, oh my God, here we are, we're 6-4. I mean, it's a good feeling. I mean, you also got to keep in mind that Cardinal fans for the past 2 seasons have lived through not really recognizing November football. And we've already talked about the draft and free agency in November. So to hear and to see that a Cardinals organization / team is in this race, that's enough to get us all hyped up, right? We could probably say all these crazy takes out there, but hey, if you throw enough shit on the wall, something might stick at the end of the day. So, but you do look at the schedule, right? You look at the schedule here, and I do believe that this Arizona Cardinals team does have a path. I really do. Like, I have the confidence as well. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, give me the hat for the NFC West, because we still got to go through two Seattle Seahawks games, which they usually beat us here. We usually beat them there, with the exception of last year. And then obviously you got the last 2 division games at the end of the season. So I'm not going to say give us the NFC West, hat right now, but I don't know. We got some pretty winnable games here in our schedule because we did go through a gauntlet earlier in the season. It's a great place to be, and I'm super excited where we're at.
Ruiz doesn't think he deserved to wear the shades, by the way. He's thinking the complete opposite. He's thinking your Cardinals, you haven't earned it, I guess. I don't know what these Cardinals got to do, Mike. I don't know what they got to do.
I didn't notice the shades.
I didn't see that. I must have missed that.
Yeah, I did put it on when Jake did get it. I just didn't want him to, see winner, right? So I wanted to, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Look into the winner's eyes.
Right, exactly. Look into the winner's eyes. No, but honestly, Jake's right. At the end of the day, this division is very, very close. 4-5, 5-4, 6-4. It's very close. Anything could change from one week to another, but let us enjoy this, man. Cardinal fans, let's rise up.
And I'm okay with that, but that one comment where they're like, "Oh yeah, just give us," I understand why he's saying that, but there are people that are just like, "Oh yeah, it's over." There was an 8-1 Cardinals team that went 11-6 and got mollywopped in the wild card round against the Rams. So that year, the Cardinals went into SoFi Stadium to start the season, or early on the season, and they beat the Rams, and it was not close. They dominated that game. It was 37-13, and I think they had a garbage time touchdown to Robert Woods.
That brand of football was Kyler Murray, you be a superhero. That's what that brand of football was. Now we have a different brand of football where it's James Conner, run that ball down that guy's throat. And if not James Conner, Trey Benson. And if not Trey Benson, let's go see if Amari DeMarcado can get a 30-yard run. We really, our identity is run the ball, and we do not make it all on the shoulders of Kyler Murray. You're right. I mean, the history is the Cardinals do crash, but it's a different regime. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We're more confident in what this team. This is NFL team right here. We were Pretty Boy football back then. Now we're an NFL team that actually can compete and hold 2 teams back to back with no touchdowns.
Well, they were 11-6. I don't want to take too much credit away, but I'm just saying the trends, especially like the 49ers. I remember they went 3-5, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's over." 2021, it's all over. They go to the NFC title game. They honestly should have won the game. So I see trends, and there's a reason why history keeps repeating itself. And I'm not ever going to bet against the 49ers because of it. And I'm never going to give the Cardinals, I'm never going to give anybody the division, because this NFC West division, like we were talking about, it's competitive, and I'm excited for it. I'm also excited to have a little bit of a break from the Rams. So Sunday can come really slowly. I need to separate a little bit from that offense right now. They pissed me off.
By the way, Dave, he's clarifying. He didn't mean sheet earlier. He meant shiv. So that took a pretty wild turn from going with your sheets to taking your knife out and doing whatever it is that he plans on doing with that. Dave also is saying when he thinks of Lyle, he imagines him talking like a South Park character. And I know
okay. That's funny.
I know for a fact, Dave, that Lyle is not your buddy guy. I know for a fact.
Can I finish? Okay, now I'm finished.
Feed Me More is saying, Z-Bot, if you leave us with TD, I will throw you. I'm not leaving you with TD. You got nothing to worry about. TD's gonna have fun this week. Let him enjoy it. This was TD's. This was the bowl for TD last night in LA. I'm not gonna rain on TD's parade. I certainly am not. I'm gonna let him enjoy that one until whenever the next time they lose comes around. Then I'll get right back on the train. Randalorian is coming in. He's saying, question for Jake. If you had to start retooling this offense today, would you start at play calling and giving it to someone else or redo the current O-line?
It's interesting. I think I'm probably going back. So, I mean, hidden in that whole offensive line thing, Rob Havenstein didn't play. I hope people are finally realizing how important, like Rams fans especially. He's not trash. Like, he's very important at right tackle, not just in the pass game, but also in the run game. But I thought Steve Avila was fantastic at left guard. I think I would probably put Bo Limmer back at center. And I think, Havenstein will be back next week, hopefully. So, then you talk about Alec Jackson, Steve Avila, Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein. I think your offensive line looks night and day. And I know they're paying $17 million or whatever to Jonah Jackson, but I don't think he should start over any of those 5 guys right now. I can't sit here and say, yeah, I'm really excited about this signing. I know he was injured and I get that, but he wasn't great in the first 2 games before he got hurt. So, and he was the worst offensive lineman on the Detroit offensive line. That's why they let him go. So yeah, I think that's how I would go about that. And then as far as play calling, I say it every year. I love Sean McVay. Rams fans are tired of me saying that, but I always have to preface it because anytime you say anything negative, people are like, oh, you want him fired? No, I don't. But I do think he needs to give up the play calling. I think I've said that for years. I think Sean McVay is an incredible offensive mind, but it's just, I think whether they want to admit it or not, Andy Reid went through it, and I know now he's calling the plays again. Andy Reid gave up the play calling because he said it was literally too difficult to be a head coach, focus on the defense, focus on the offense, and then have it a little bit more of a bias towards the offense. Sean McVay is that coach that cares about all aspects of the team. He does a great job of it. But I just think that, yeah, I'd rather see Mike LaFleur call plays right now. Truthfully, I'd like that. I thought the game management was insanity. I was pretty much laughing about it. You could tell it looked like Sean McVay was checked out of the end of that game. So, yeah, I would do something to spice it up. And say what you will, Liam Cohen, we made fun of him in LA. Look at what he's doing with the Bucs right now with Baker Mayfield. I mean, there are play callers that have come and gone that could still be with the Rams, but they're not because they know Sean McVay calls the plays. And so that's why Matt LaFleur left, went to the Titans, so he could go and call plays, so he could go and become a head coach. I think he needs to give up the play calling. I say it all the time. I think he's a great offensive mind. I think he's a better offensive mind than he is a play caller.
Brandon, you think you had something to say, I believe you earlier.
Well, just in regards to where the Rams offense has been with McVay recently, and also to a degree with Jesse on this, because I think with your guys' offense, when I look at the past couple of years, a big important part of it was those fly sweeps you mentioned earlier, Jake, and you with Debo too as well, and the Niners and how they use that. And this is kind of a league-wide thing I've seen this year, and I don't have a reason for it. I'm kind of curious as to why we're seeing what was starting. It was almost like the equivalency of when they had the read option quarterbacks sort of take over for a short time. Those fly sweeps were starting to take over in that same kind of way. And then it seems to just kind of like somebody's pulled the brake on it a little bit, or they've just lost their effectiveness, because I'm not even seeing now offenses that used to run. Shoot, Jake, you guys, I think at one point ran 4.25 on us back a couple of years ago. But now you might not run one a whole game, and our team doesn't run it much either. And I don't understand it, because it always seems like an easy 5, 6, 7 yards there whenever you do run it.
Absolutely. And when things aren't going well and you can't run the ball normally, right? And you don't have Kyler Murray or, Brock Purdy or a Geno Smith to take off and run because they don't want Stafford to run. They've instructed him not to. So you can't throw it. Well, what do? Well, try and mix it up. You got Tutu Atwell. You got, Xavier Smith. You got Puka Nacua. You got Cooper Kupp. All these guys, like you just said, you could be doing this. And they did. When they were at their best, Robert Woods had like 5 carries a game. Yeah. No idea why. I don't know why it was always, but Robert Woods at one point, there was a season where he had like, I think almost 50 carries. See, that's when they're at their best. The problem is they do a lot of those motion, as you know, Brandon, they do a lot of those motions and they don't run. So it's like no one falls for this. But do you know where it actually originated for the Rams? I can't say just in general, but it was Todd Gurley and Tavon Austin in 2015. They ran that a lot, and they had a lot of success. Tavon Austin had a lot of success because it gets linebackers to go a certain way. And when you get them leaning another way, you can hit them with say an outside zone with Todd Gurley going the opposite direction. Now you have the linebackers, the second level, they're moving, and that's just a quick half step, and Todd Gurley's gone. and I feel like they are so predictable, Brandon, because when I watch this team, they're just hoping, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are going to get open rub routes. We're just going to have, they tried to use Demarcus Robinson as a decoy. It failed miserably. The creativity feels just gone. Like, it just feels like, and another thing, going back and looking at their old teams, we're seeing it right now. Ben Johnson, by the way, do you know why they're having so much success? Ben Johnson is running the 2017, 2018 LA Rams offense. That's what he's doing. That play action is just slicing and dicing teams. It keeps Jared Goff's confidence up. It allows you, with a great run game, to just continue to just dig deeper and stab further into a defense. The Rams he doesn't like play action. Stafford doesn't like it, wants to play, so we don't get under center single back set. No. It's shotgun and pistol. Okay. And it's become so predictable, and just the drop back passing without the play action, which I am a huge play action fan. To me, I think it is like just the best thing that if you have a run game, you should be using play action all the time. And Stafford, we know Stafford can do it, but it's just really frustrating because it seems like, as you brought up, Brandon, they were doing those fly sweeps and all that. Now that's gone. The play action's gone. It's just like kind of a stripped down offense. That's kind of like, Stafford, just play backyard football. If the offensive line holds up, your arm talent alone is going to win us games. If it doesn't, oh well.
Speaking of those Rams, another super chat coming in, by the way, about that offensive line. Mike A is saying the fact that the Rams were able to move the ball at all with a turnstile at right tackle last night gives me hope for Rob's return. Not much hope, but some. Man, I know, just for me, not someone who watches the Rams closely every week, that really seemed to be the biggest downfall last time. I mean, my God, Stafford just didn't seem to have a moment to breathe back there. And it ultimately resulted in a rough outing for the Rams offense collectively. And that's why that was one of the only games Stafford's had with the Rams without getting into the end zone. By the way, Jesse, don't leave Dave again. Unless you.
Sorry, Dave. Sorry.
He gets worried sick about you.
He got scared.
Yeah. He's also saying he needs Jesse to hold his hand like Bosa did to Baker.
Oh my God. Bosa's getting ripped for that.
That was wild. You want to know what, though? That goes back to what we discussed. And that's when you wind up making that extra move on the quarterback going towards the sideline, you get the flag, like we talked about with Mahomes a couple of weeks ago. It felt like if Nick Bosa or if Bosa wanted to throw him like a rag doll, he probably could have. He didn't. And Baker made the most of it. And, that's the result of those you do it, you don't do it type plays. Daza, by the way, Mike, he's saying Kyler has been playing well the last few weeks. Is it because he was banned from COD?
I didn't hear he was bad. I know he got a partnership with Call of Duty. I mean, right now we're 4-0, so hey, we're riding high.
That's when you know
it's because COD's good.
That's
when the balance.
Good again.
He's found the balance, the hour balance,
He's
and
found
how
the
long to play. He's not pushing to the midnight oil anymore. He's like, I got to bed, but I'll still get back to it now.
By the way, you were talking earlier about those past Niners teams, Jake. He's saying that's when Lyle used to give them hope, but that no longer exists in Dave's mind. He's completely out. If you haven't heard, he's completely lost hope on Lyle.
Dave misses one player in particular. I can tell you right now. You know who he misses? He misses that Iowa quarterback who shouldn't have even been drafted, Beathard. I bet you Dave was a huge CJ Beathard fan.
Dave, let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. Level 7 with more Kyler Murray love. Well-deserved. He's saying Kyler Murray is the best QB in the NFC West. He might be playing like the best QB in the NFC West right now. I mean, he's balling out. Kyler Murray's certainly having a hell of a year. There's no question about it. Speaking of those Cardinals, Brian's saying the Cards secondary has to be talked about. Young and looks very promising. Gannon is a defensive secondary coach. Heard the term LOB mentioned. That's got to be easy.
Take it easy. Yeah. Come on, take it easy.
I wouldn't go that far personally, but they do got a really good young secondary with Starling Thomas V, Garrett Williams, which is a 3rd rounder last year, which could have been a 1st round pick, looks really good, and then Max Melton that we got in the 2nd round. Sean Murphy Bunting, unfortunately, is getting a lot of snaps that we all want him to kind of sit down and get benched, but our secondary is looking really good. Obviously, in the back to Buda Baker and Jalen Thompson, but like Jalen Thompson missed last game, but we had Rabbit, Dadrian Taylor Demerson out of Texas A&M, I believe, and he's looking pretty darn good.
He's a good player.
Brandon, what is a Hawks win coming off of your bye? And we'll talk about that on our upcoming preview episode. But real quick, what does that do for your outlook moving forward coming up this weekend?
Well, it's if the season hangs in the balance a little bit. I mean, you lose this game, you're probably as much out. That's 4 losses or something like that to the Division 3 losses. So you got to get this dub. It's been mentioned a couple times on the stream today. Everybody is still in this division. It's very tightly compact. There are front runners who look like they're coming into form right now, and we're not looking like we're coming into form. So it's going to take, the team to turn a lot of dysfunction and inconsistent play across the board around in a real fast point, which is hard to necessarily see. But a win would definitely start to give me that feeling that they might have a potential to be able to do that. And they have shown flashes this year. As Jesse was saying, we don't have qualities. We've got a couple quality wins. So it's just that we can't maintain who we are every game. It's just you get a different kind of version almost at times. So, yeah, you win on the road. You get yourself back up to 500. You get a win in the division. Anything is still possible for this year for everybody in this division, as far as the playoffs go, at the very least.
Jesse?
If the Seahawks win, I'm starting a new trend next week. We do the glasses. You win a team, when our teams win. I did the white sheet. Like, I don't want to show my face when the team loses. I'm bringing a fork to the show so that you can stick it in us. It's over for the 49ers.
You gotta tape it to the back.
Take
it to the back so it sticks out like that, man.
Yeah, exactly.
We had mentioned Kyler might be the best quarterback in the division right now. Freddie's got something else to say. He's saying Stafford is, and I'll parlay that into what Jonathan's asking Jake. He's saying, Jake, with Stafford, who Freddie thinks is the best quarterback in the division, Rams winning the Super Bowl this year?
So I no longer think they're going to, but I think it'd be dumb for me to say that they're not capable of doing it. I absolutely think, the way the defense is playing, if the offense gets their head out of their ass and puts up at least, 24, 25 points, the way the defense is playing, you're going to win the majority of those games on your schedule. And yeah, I think the pedigree and everything, with the coaching staff and Stafford and Kupp, they can definitely do it. But that Miami Dolphins game, that took me from they're going to do it when I felt really good about it to they can do it. But now I've given them enough praise for a team that is 4-5. I have given them way too much praise. They have to go and earn it. And that's how I feel. It's not going to be easy, and they're going to have to win these games. And I said last year, they were 3-6, and I said they were going to go to the playoffs and they were going to make the playoffs. And I thought they were capable of winning the Super Bowl if they got by the Lions. Still feel that way. If they got by the Lions, I think they absolutely could have gone. But do I think that right now? I think it'd be unfair, for the listeners out there, because I don't believe in that. I think I really just need to see them. They had a 3-game win streak. Things look great with the defense. The offense has a chance. They're so talented. They have so much talent. If they figure out the offensive line, they give Stafford time, and Sean McVay, maybe this is a really good opportunity to learn from this loss. Then yeah, maybe they can. But right now, I think I'm more focused on trying to just hold on, win this division. You're still in it, but that was probably the worst case scenario if there ever was one. The 49ers win, the Cardinals win. The Cardinals win in dominating fashion, and the Rams lose a game in which, they had every opportunity to win. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think playoffs first as far as Super Bowl. I won't say I jumped the gun, because I don't think any of us thought that game was coming. I know Jesse didn't, because Jesse's like, stick a fork in them, they're done. He was like, this Rams team's a little scary right now. And that game came up, and he was like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. I didn't know this was possible. I see you, Jesse.
I really didn't. Trust me.
Me.
They were my hot pick, man. Once they had won that second game, but dude, I can't now. I'm sorry.
They're trying to do what the Chiefs have done the last 2 years, and Feed Me More Seahawks is saying, can we talk about the Chiefs having leprechauns? They don't just have leprechauns.
Zebra-striped leprechauns.
Yeah, that Arrowhead Stadium is located underneath of a rainbow on top of a gold mine of gold. It's not even a pot of gold. It's Fort Knox underneath of that thing. What I saw Sunday, it's just the ultimate epitome of what the Chiefs are. It is even a 35-yard field goal is not enough to beat that team. If you haven't learned your lesson by now, I don't know what to tell you. I still haven't, because my Bills play them this weekend, and I've already convinced myself it's going to go a different way. So we're all in that.
Please beat them.
You know,
That guy on the line, though, like,
oh, they blew it up. It was crazy.
well, no, but like that one guy in particular, I don't know his name. That
For
was
the
the worst
Broncos?
technique I've ever seen.
He got steamrolled. I mean, he literally got flat.
And apparently, this always
It's been
happens to
happening.
him.
Yeah, it's been happening
Like-
all year to him.
That's crazy.
So you know what? I will say this: the Chiefs are annoying, but man, I love watching Sean Payton lose. I love watching Sean Payton lose, so much so that I don't even remember. I think Seattle played Seattle played the Broncos to start the season. Yeah, I want Seattle to win. I can't stand Sean Payton. I'm glad Russell Wilson's doing what he's doing.
Now he's balling, man. Balling.
Yeah.
Because
Because he's away from Sean Payton. He's not constantly being told how trash he is.
That's a fair point. I mean, they gave him some. I mean, well, you know, Mike Williams too. By the way, Aaron Rodgers thought he was trash. Catch the game-winning ball the week after he leaves him. It's the irony is very vivid this year in a lot of areas. Dave is coming back to your Beathard point earlier. By the way, Jake, he's saying he was never a Beathard fan, but he was a fan of Lance coming out. But that is another Lyle blunder. That might have been the biggest of them all. Although I can never quite tell if it was Shanahan that was completely all in on Trey Lance, but
He did not want Trey Lance.
Definitely was a blunder. Maybe the biggest of that's when you know the Niners are great, though, because that is yet to come back and bite him. It's crazy. Any other team that would have been evident by now. He says he's a kid who grew up with Joe Montana, but really Steve Young is his guy. Anything short of that, fired. Can him. He's ready to get rid of him. He just wants Joe Montana to take over for Lyle, Jesse, and then you guys will be all good. Ruiz, by the way, he's saying, I respect all of you guys. Jesse, Mike, B, and Jake. Ruiz has no respect for me, and that's fine, Ruiz. I appreciate it. I think that's going to do it on our Super Chats. We got through them all, and as always, every week, you guys, I'll tell you what, I compare it to an Uzi. It's a Super Chat Uzi, and it just fires off at rapid fire. Speaking of Call of Duty, it just feels like I'm behind the I don't even know what I'm saying right now. But regardless, you guys send a lot of super chats, and we really appreciate it. You guys are the absolute best in the NFL. We love you. On the way out the door, if you could, like button, subscribe button, if you'd be so kind. And by the way, once again, just to give you an update on where this division currently stands, because it's heating up. We're heading into week 11, and I know we've talked about it a bunch today, but it really is anybody's game. And when you go over to BetUS right now and you take a look at these odds to win the division, and it's not pulling up for me right now, but you go and look at the odds, which I would pull up if they were on there, but over on BetUS, they would be here if my computer would work. And I remember them. What you would see is that currently you have the Cardinals at plus 135 or plus 110 rather. They're the favorite. You have the Niners at plus 135. You got the Rams, who have fallen down to plus 750. But then there's those Seahawks, kind of similar to what Jesse said a couple of weeks ago. They're at plus 1,300 now, but they're at 4-5 and a win over the Niners this upcoming week. And that changes everything. So a lot on the line, especially in that game. That's going to be a huge one. We will preview that on the preview show coming up this week. But before you leave tonight, YouTube 150 is the promo code over on BetUS. It will work on your end. It doesn't work on my end because I'm me, but you're you. And it will work. And if you want to go and get in on those odds, whether it's the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Rams, or the Niners, they'll be up there. And you can use the promo code YouTube150. That'll get you 150% sign-up bonus, up to $2,000 on your first deposit, and 125% bonus on your next two after that. Like I said, the Week 11 preview episode comes later this week, so make sure to tune in. We look forward to seeing you there. But that's going to do it for tonight on the NFL Week 10 recap episode of the NFC West Roundtable. For Mike, Brandon, Jesse, and Jake, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Much love, as always, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.
Go Hawks.